Every night at 3:11 a.m., they screamed. The lights would flicker, the air grew cold, and the twins of a heartbroken millionaire woke up crying in fear. Doctors failed, therapists gave up, until one woman, a quiet black nanny with no resume and no degree, walked into the mansion and did something no one dared. The truth. It wasn't sleep they were waiting for. It was goodbye. After the tragic car accident that took his wife, Jonathan Ellington, one of the city's wealthiest tech moguls, left the world behind. He moved with his 5-year-old twins, Leo and Lily, into a sprawling estate on a cliff outside San Francisco, a home filled with marble glass and grief. Every hallway echoed with absence. Photos of his wife were frozen in gold frames. Her perfume was still in the air. Her voice, still in the children's heads dotted night. Leo would talk to his pillow. Lily would whisper into the corners of the room. And always they woke up screaming. The time was always the same 3:11 a.m., not 3:10, not 3:12. The butterflies, Lily would whisper, eyes wide. They fly on the ceiling, Daddy. And then they cry. The staff said it was trauma. One nanny quit after just 2 nights. Another said she heard humming in the nursery, even when the sound monitor was unplugged. Jonathan spent over $80,000 on specialists, but nothing changed. Until one day, in the bottom of the applicant pile was a note. Handwritten. No resume. No degrees. Just. My name is Miss Mariah. I work with heart, not paper. If your twins are crying, it means they're listening. Call me if you want them to be heard. He almost threw it away, but something made him pick up the phone. Miss Mariah arrived. She wasn't what anyone expected. She was soft-spoken, wore a cardigan that looked handmade, brought a tiny suitcase and a wooden carving in the shape of a moon. The butler offered to take her bag. She smiled politely and refused. She didn't ask about wages. She didn't ask about house rules. She simply said, "Where do they sleep?" That night, Miss Mariah entered the twins' room at 8 p.m. sharp. She lit a small beeswax candle. She placed a wooden moon on the bedside table. She sat on the floor between the 2 beds. An HUMMED. Not a nursery rhyme, not a song from a book. It was deep, ancient, like something passed down, not written down. And for the first time in 162 nights, Leo and Lily closed their eyes and didn't open them again until morning. But it wasn't over. On the 3rd night, just as the clock ticked toward 3:11 a.m., Miss Mariah stood. She moved to the center of the room. From her bag, she pulled a small wooden bowl filled with water, petals, and a single seashell. She placed it on the floor. She knelt beside it, and she began to chant. The twins stirred, then smiled in their sleep. The air changed. The room warmed. The camera in the nursery, installed by Jonathan himself, flickered. And then, silence, but not the kind they were used to. This was peaceful, full, whole. The next morning, Jonathan stormed into the nursery. What was that? He demanded. What language were you speaking? What's in that bowl? Miss Mariah didn't flinch. She looked at him with the calm of someone who seemed more pain than she speaks of. That bowl has the same rose petals your wife used to bathe the twins with. I found them, dried in her drawer. And that chant, she said gently, that was your wife's lullaby in her ancestral tongue. Jonathan froze. How do you know that? Because, Mr. Ellington, she said, your children weren't crying because they were scared. They were crying because no one was letting them say goodbye. Later that day, Jonathan searched through his wife's things. Buried in a shoebox, beneath love letters and old CDs, was a tape labeled, "For Leo and Lily, Mama's Last Song." He played it. The melody, the same one Miss Mariah had sung, except in his wife's voice, a voice he hadn't heard since the crash. And suddenly, he understood the screams, the time. The whispers. They were echoes of grief trapped in children too young to name their sorrow. That night, Jonathan did something he hadn't done in over a year. He kissed his children good night. He joined Miss Mariah on the floor, and for the first time, he sang with her. They chanted. They wept. And when it was done, he walked outside and watched the sunrise with wet eyes and a steady heart. His children never screamed again. This isn't a story about ghosts. It's not about magic. It's about the silence we leave behind. And the people brave enough to sit inside it. Miss Mariah didn't come with credentials. She came with understanding, because sometimes the most powerful healing doesn't come from science. It comes from someone who knows that the soul doesn't scream unless it's ready to be heard. If this story touched you, leave a like, subscribe, and share it with someone holding on to the past. Because some lullabies aren't just for sleep, they're for letting go.